Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me. Songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Being broadcast tonight live on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and on YouTube World. Hello, YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I hope you all are having just a lovely Friday evening. If you're here Friday evening when I'm live, or whatever time it is in your world. It's a little weird for me tonight. I'll go into that in a moment because, yeah, it's quiet. It's quiet in my house. Oh, hey, look, Don just checked in from Coloma. He and Brent are out squatching, or they're in the Sasquatch world and doing ghost hunting and all that stuff. So hi, Suzanne and YTFP Chris and Nessie and Chris Jarvis and Lucky. I see Lucky. No, I did not run away to the forest tonight. I am home mostly because, you know what? I just didn't want to have to deal with the mosquitoes, honestly. I know it's a first world problem, not wanting to be, dealing with the mosquitoes, but hey, you know what? The truth is real. From what I understand, the mosquitoes this year in Montana are roughly the size of Volkswagens. So, well, MCAT and Duke and Titan and Cha-Cha are all with Don and Brent out there in the mountains of western Montana. So, yeah. Elaine and Lewis are joining too. So, yep. No matter how you are listening to me, make sure you stop in and say hello. Either with the quick howdy on the message or send me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, please do so. You can do that by going to etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio, MTN for mountain, or you can go to patreon.com/the spaces between. Or if you like playing with PayPal, you can go there too, paypal.me, M-E, at /Paisley Wild, PAISLEYWILDE. So Paisley Wild. And since it is live, the phone line is open. And since I'm the only one here, if you do call, make sure you let me know somehow. So that I can answer. So that number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're in the UK, you can call 44203-393-2871. And just real quick, go ahead and check out ialife.com, which is just a fabulous product. ialife. Making sure you got your strong immune system. By the way, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV, but you know what? ialife is, what is it? It's an alchemy and synergy of the ayahuasca and the hemp CBD oils, and to give you all the goodness, the pure hemp oil and the spirit of Aya to, just support yourself. Yeah, support yourself. So go there. Check it out. That's ialife.com. So yes, go there. Okay. let's see. So yeah, quiet night in the studio, and my world. It's just me and the dog today. Mr. Basil is snoring away in the chair. Even Mini Me is off visiting family. She's staying the night with her niece and nephew, and my son and daughter-in-law. So yeah, yeah. It was. It's really weird. It's so quiet. I can hear the birds sing. That's about it. The wind in the trees. Even the wind died down this evening, which is a new thing. Holy cow! It has been just windy, windy, windy here. We either have wind and rain, or wind or rain. It seems like we have just weird weather. I'm telling you. As the energy shifts, yeah, and it is. Yep, yep. It's I don't know. The weather seems to be shifting too. So, yep, just bizarre. So, excuse me as I yawn because since I'm home alone, I have to stay awake for you guys, right? But yet, go to sleep after this is all done and over with because there's no snoring. Well, other than the dog. I may have to find me some ASMR video of some sort with snoring. Maybe. Probably not. But maybe. I did a thing. Let me make sure I got the video right. So, check this out. Bum bum bum. Looky looky. I got a singing bowl. I'm so excited. That's nice and loud. Isn't that good? It's got such a great sound to it. I'm so excited. So we'll just stick that over there because you guys don't need to hear me make lots of noise with the singing bowls. But no, it's awesome. So, yes, Lewis, I know you want me to do the ASMR artist, and I've thought about it, and yeah, I'm working on it. Seriously. Just gotta make sure that I've got my stuff lined up, and et cetera, et cetera. So, yes, cleansing tool for the singing bowl. Yes, I've got that. I've got the selenite wand. I've got the salt. I've got the sage. So since I'm home alone, I am planning on doing a cleansing because you know what? Every so often you should do that. Kind of think of it as spring cleaning, but in the spiritual world. And when you're doing your cleansing of your space, it technically is not considered smudging because that's a traditional Native American practice that has certain rituals involved as well. So just be aware. But so yeah, go through with sage and cleanse with the sage smoke, which again, studies are showing that sage smoke is antimicrobial and antibacterial. So if you're worried about the coronavirus and all that stuff, hey Jessica, maybe you should buy some sage and smoke out your house with a little bit of sage. And if someone says, hey, why are you doing that? It's smoky in here. Say, you know what? Here's the study, the research, and the Mayo Clinic, which is kind of a big name in the world of medicine, has information. If you need to find the information, start at WebMD. It's not quite like Wikipedia, but as far as random information, but go there and you can find the different resources. So, yeah, I think it'd be good. Show your non-pagan, non-witchy family and friends that sage is a good thing to have. And if you are in the pagan pantry, broom closet, that kind of thing, just say, hey, I'm trying it with. This research says I should try it. So, yeah, why not? And, sometimes we do need to just make sure that negative energy is cleared out whether it's from too many electronic devices as I sit in a studio and I'm looking at computers and lights and monitors and cameras and microphones. And that's on this side of the studio. The other side of the studio, I see another computer, more monitors, 2 sewing machines, some other electronics, miscellaneous tools, and appliances, and so yeah, to just cleanse that energy that builds up. Think of it as static electricity. Too much static electricity, you get lightning, which can strike in various places and destroy things. So think of it again like the lightning when you're doing that smoke cleansing with the sage or the Palo Santo, if that's your gig, or whatever it is that you choose to use for a cleansing smoke. Sage, that's what I recommend. You're discharging that energy. And if you have a mantra that you want to state throughout that, sit down, pencil it out. What is it you're trying to accomplish? So make sure you're setting that intuition before you do the cleansing, intention. And because what is it you want to do? What's your goal? Are you trying to get rid of all energies that are within the house or apartment or home or whatever, or space, whatever that space is? Or are you just trying to get rid of the negative energies or negative spirits or spirits in general? And just be aware as to what you're trying to do and try and accomplish. And often it could be something simple that you're trying to say, with this, invoke your deities, your spirit guides, or your ancestors, and say, hey, I'm trying to do this thing because it's time to clean house, and with the smoke, send that the negative energy away, and you can chant it, and it doesn't have to rhyme, but you want to keep that smoke going. Excuse me. And before you start, know kind of what how are you going to walk through the space? Grid, room to room, corner to corner, that kind of thing. Circular, again, whatever it is. But make sure, if you know which room you're going to end in, open a window so those, or door or whatever, so those negative energies, go ahead and shoo them out. Because if you don't have that window open for those negative energies to leave, they're going to be like, hey, we're all scrunched up in the corner and you've boxed us in here. And now we're not very happy at all. And there could be some negative rebound. So yeah, pay attention. So yeah, everybody out. You're funny, Lucky. Cleaning house. Yeah. Our roommate, she's camping with friends too, so I don't have anybody else in the house except for me and the dog. The cat's even outside. I guess there's fish in the fish tank, whatever. So yeah, and I don't even need a clean house. I'll probably vacuum just because I would vacuum and sweep and then take that dirt out of the house and to make sure I throw it away because you think of it as the dregs. You want to get rid of that, that poltergeist dust, whatever you want to call it. You just want to get it out of the house and move on. And then, let that smoke flow. And, very bizarre feeling right now. Home alone. I don't even know what to do with myself. Came home and it's like, well, what am I going to eat? I had some turkey and an artichoke and some crackers. I'm really, eating healthy there. But hey, it could have been worse, I guess. I made the artichokes yesterday, or steamed them out, and they have to get eaten or they're going to go bad, and what a waste. First world problems, right? Don't want the food to go to waste because, I have a fridge full of stuff and not enough room. Yeah, cleaning house. Other than that, geez, what am I going to do? I don't know. So I got to thinking, things I like to do when I have a few moments where I can sit down and just kind of chill out, um, is I like to read, and not always books that are, the ones that I should be reading to, increase my knowledge and my energy and all that stuff. Often it's just fiction. That's what I want. And but if I'm not going to read fiction, what am I going to read? So I've been reading a lot of books, regarding my path, the Inner Temple of Witchcraft. I'm still working through that because it does take a little bit as you're going through the different bits and pieces, which is good. And then I picked up a tarot deck. It's a Raven tarot deck. I'll have to grab it at the break so I can show it to you. And then the singing bowls. So I'm learning about singing bowls. And then at work, we've been talking about crystal grids. So I'm reading about crystal grids. Like, all right, what am I going to do? Writing. Yes, writing is good. I picked up several pens to go with my ginormous book, Lucky. Because I wanted to make sure I had pens specifically for my book that I'm not using anywhere else. They're just for my book. But, other than that, reading. So, what are the top 10 books, pagan books or witchcraft books that are recommended out there? And because not all lists are created equal, I've got a couple lists out, and I just figured we'd talk about them because why not? This is my show, and I can do what I want, right? And it's interesting to me as I go through what these lists. Some of the suggested stories, the books that should be kind of factual, etc. Sometimes they're included some fiction. So be aware the books that are recommended for you to read. Where's the recommendation coming from, and what is the information? Sorry, the dog just fell out of the chair. Oh, he's getting old. Yeah. So, Inner Temple of Witchcraft is a good book, I think, for beginners. A lot of different traditions actually use it as the first book for people to read who are wanting to start off on a particular path. And so it's good information. Hey, babe. And I'm okay. Maybe I'm a little weird, and I'll go with that because it's not unusual for me to have 3 or 4 books that I'm reading at any given time at the same time. Just because I read a lot, and it varies with my mood and what I'm trying to accomplish and what I'm trying to do. And that's not even counting the books that I'm reading to mini-me, because that's an entirely different set of books. Although we do have some favorites there too. So, but yep, reading. And it's good for you, mostly, as long as you're getting other stuff done. So be aware, and I guess Lucky's going for coffee already, and I may have to do that at break time also, because you know what? I don't have anybody here to talk to make me laugh. It's really, really weird when Don's not in the studio, I have to tell you. So, the first list, hey Cashew. Yes. Generally I do like to have other people hold up the books or have the books available for me. So, this is just a list online. One of the books on witchcraft that I've seen in a couple of different lists is one by Margot Adler. The book is called Drawing Down the Moon. And it's kind of a field guide for pagans, is what the description calls it. So it's not a book of spells and recipes. It's more an academic work that evaluates modern pagan religions, including Wicca, and the people who practice them. And Drawing Down the Moon, yes, it pretty much says that not all Wiccans are full of white light and fluff, or sunshine and rainbows. But it supposedly tells it like it is. I've not read this particular book, but I have to admit that I am interested, and I've got a couple of bookshops locally that I like to check out because I've been looking for some other books to have on my shelf about paganism and witchcraft, rather than the ones that are recommended to me. I'm looking for some things that I am drawn to, because sometimes the ones you're drawn to are more informative and better for you than the ones that have been recommended. But you got to start somewhere, right? So this would be a good one to start with. And we're got 2 hours here to talk about books and other stuff, so we're gonna do that too. I'll probably maybe I'll even use the singing bowl for just a little bit. I don't know. Who knows? I can do what I want. So there. So the next one is by Raymond Buckland, The Complete Book of Witchcraft. And Raymond Buckland is part of the Wicca world, and this book is like 20 years old roughly, and it's kind of an eclectic flavor of Wicca, but so it's not just a specific tradition of Wicca, because Wicca does have quite a few different traditions. Think of it like Christianity. Christianity has several different varieties. You get your Lutherans, your Catholics, your Protestants, your Baptists, your Seventh-day Adventists, your Mormons, although those are a little more complicated, but et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just similar to that, a Wicca has several different traditions as well. So instead of, it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Brain cramp, need coffee, or chocolate. Different types of... I love having the internet at my fingertips. Wow. So yeah, 5 types of different of Christianity according to Wikipedia. Interesting. Denominations, that's what it is. So in Christianity it's called denominations. In Wicca, it's called traditions. In paganism and witchcraft in general, it's called traditions. Yep, lucky, you're right. Anyway, so this particular book from Raymond Buckland is more of a workbook-like, so it's very similar, from what I understand, to the books by Scott Cunningham, like The Inner Temple of Witchcraft, in that, you read some and there is something to do. You learn the lesson and then you practice the lesson. And then once you've practiced the lesson for a bit and you feel really comfortable with it, or the exercises, etc., then you move on. And generally you don't skip around through the book, but, just move forward. The next one on this particular list, this is from Learn Religions, by the way, is another book by Scott Cunningham. It's Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. And this is actually good too, because a lot of pagans and witches these days are very solitary. And this is even before the coronavirus, because you walk in, and I've said this before, you walk into any community in the U.S., almost any, and there's going to be 1 to, who knows, churches available for people who are of the or churches, synagogues, mosques, etc., for those of the Abrahamic faiths, and they're recognizable. Everybody knows where they are. You look them up in the yellow page of the phone book. I'm dating myself here. On Google, you can Google what they are, and they'll tell you where these different places are to go to practice your faith. For those of us who are witches and pagans, heathens, is a little bit harder. So for that reason, there's a lot of us that are pretty solitary. And again, that's okay that we're solitary, but so this is a good book. And it's again a very eclectic, um, and not a specific tradition. It's more Wicca and magic. So, but again, you have to start somewhere. Really, truly, you have to start somewhere as you're learning more about this particular path, and and more about what you're trying to accomplish. Because if you don't start somewhere, you're not going to get very far. Because you can only do so much with intuition. I'm a very intuitive witch and pagan, and so for me, yeah, it makes sense to just roll with it and do what I got to do. And it's not very structured, but that only gets you so far. At some point, you have to have a little bit more education. And just like that, being a soloist this evening, it's break time. It's our first break of the evening. So we'll be right back.
Lord within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And, oh, there was someone on the phone. I was a little excited. I wasn't going to be alone. Sad day. Anyways, if you do want to call in, you can. It's 253 what is it? Yeah. Try that again. 213-233-3998. Hey, Dave. Long time no see. Paul Huson, Mastering Witchcraft. Yes. I think, it is. Yeah. In a way, it is very much the trend to be a solitary practitioner. A lot of us just don't have the patience right now to put up with the stuff from other people. And yeah. Because, no, Chris, y'all don't have to call. It's all good. I'm just going to sit here and drink my coffee. So, yes, the deck that I got is called Crow Tarot. Boop. If y'all can see that. So there. I hope you can see it. And pretty excited. It's by MJ Cunningham. I should probably buggered that name all get up. So all of the characters are crows. Crows with cups, crows with crowns. Yeah, it's good. I like it. And sadly, there's another deck that I kind of want to buy. But it's an oracle deck. And I'm trying really, 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 really hard to not buy a lot of decks, because it's not that you can have too many tools. It's just, if you don't have the time or energy or etc. to use the tools, then why have them? I don't want my hammer to get rusty, for instance. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but yeah, it is one. Coffee's my friend. All right. So the next one on this list is by Phyllis Curot, I think. And the book is called Witchcrafting. 2 words. Witchcrafting. Here, maybe. No, go back. Stop. There we go. I clicked on something. And I clicked on the wrong thing. Copy. And since some of y'all are looking in the messages, or in the message, the chat there. No moss on my hammer. Anyways, so this is more of a book on paganism. Again, it's not a collection of spells or prayers or rituals or anything like that. It talks more about ethics, because Phyllis Curot is an attorney. And so, yes, she's a good one to talk about ethics, because ethics is real. And if you don't understand why ethics should be real when it comes to paganism and witchcraft, I stop to think about it. Why do you do some of the stuff you do? It's because you've chosen to do it, or because someone is making you do it? If someone has taken away your choices and is forcing you to do things, is that okay? Does it make you happy? Probably not. So yes, be aware. There is ethics in magic. Also, the polarity of the male and female in the divine, and finding the god and goddess in your everyday life. And then also some of the pros and cons of coven life versus a solitary path. So, and it's, this is actually one that's on my wish list, in part because of the ethics and some of the other information that she has in her book. And now, by the way, your local library may have some of these books. You can often request that your library purchase some of these books. Just understand that they may not be as high on the priority list for a lot of your local public libraries, because, and it's real. Dana Eilers and Pagans in the Law, Understand Your Rights. So again, publishing house, yeah, Phoenix Publishing House and Llewellyn are both excellent publishing houses to tap into for having, checking out what's available as far as books go. Dana Eilers, here, I'll come back here. Oh, you know what? That actually made sense. Hold on. Hold, please. I will copy and paste because I can. Doot. So, Pagans and the Law, Understanding Your Rights. Because you know what? The legal one. Oh, for the love of little green apples. I move things and they close out and they get minimized and reopen. So let's see. Where did it go? This. There's the Witchcrafting by Phyllis Carrot. She's an attorney that writes. And then Pagans and the Law is by Dana Eilers. So there we go. She is another attorney that's written on, or is an author also regarding some paganism topics. She's also written The Practical Pagan, and that came from facilitating an event that's local to her called Conversations with Pagans. And then after she wrote The Practical Pagan, she wrote Pagans and the Law, Understand Your Rights. Because it's lucky. In the Understanding Your Rights, she talks about some of the precedents and some of the information you might need when it comes to religious discrimination in lawsuits and how to protect yourself, especially if you're a victim of workplace harassment. Because if your spirituality is used as an excuse by others to treat you unfairly or differently than the people around you. And I say unfairly and also differently, because if it's one thing if your boss is just a jerk and treats everybody the same way, that means he's just a jerk and he treats everybody like they're idiots. Although sometimes they are idiots, but that's a different topic. But so if your boss treats everybody like they're idiots, that's one thing. But if he treats everybody else like they're normal and you like you're an idiot and an idiot, I can't talk suddenly. Have some coffee, can't talk. In the end, it's because of your spirituality, then that's something else entirely. Suffer not a witch to live. State-sanctioned death threats. Yeah, you're right, Lucky. You know, it's interesting, that whole suffer not a witch to live in the Bible is not said very often. I think it's said once. And so much negativity and, hey Titan, and anger and just stuff. We'll leave it at stuff. Stuff's a good word. Done based upon that one little bitty verse in the Bible. There is so much information about love your brother, love one another. I mean, it's repeated often. So, you know what? It's interesting the bits and pieces that people choose to emphasize in the Bible. I mean, it's a really big book, and it's often written in very small print. And that's what you're going to focus on? There's chapters, literally chapters and chapters and chapters of other things that you could focus on. That's what you're going to go with. anyways, so the next one is written by Janet and Stuart Farrar. It's called A Witch's Bible, The Complete Witch's Handbook. Go away. That's not what I want. This is what I want. And this one goes in more into more depth, I should say, regarding Sabbath rites, some of the meanings behind the holidays. And no, there are ceremonies that are actually written into the book, and they are the ones that are created by Janet and Stuart Farrar. But they're based upon the Gardnerian tradition, and includes a lot of Celtic folklore and some other European history. And so that's the first part of the book. The second part of the book looks into the beliefs, ethics, and practice of modern witchcraft. And so these folks are a little more conservative, I suppose, I guess, by today's standards. But it talks about, what is it that makes someone a witch? Beliefs, ethics, and practice of modern witchcraft. So, what is what? Yeah, it's almost as thick as the Bible too. You're a funny day. What does it mean to be a witch in today's society? I mean, in past times, stop and think about a couple centuries ago, a witch was anybody that was different. And that's a pretty broad definition of what is a witch. Today, the definition is maybe not as broad, but it's more complex. Yeah, more complex. I like that. Coffee. Coffee. Coffee's my friend. So, I am the coffee witch. Actually, that was a possible show title. That was the caffeinated witch or something like that. Was a possible a show name instead of the spaces between. Just random factoid. If you're not here tonight, you don't know it. But I went with the spaces between. So, yeah, the coffee witch. Coffee and chocolate. To the basic building blocks of life. I'm telling you. So the next one is by Gerald Gardner. Witchcraft Today. Now this is a little bit older, but it's Gardner is the founder of contemporary or modern Wicca, and the Gardnerian tradition. So, so Witchcraft Today. It's a good read. It's not very pagan. It's more Wicca. And a lot of it is based upon information that was very popular then. And Gardner was really into folklore, so in his interpretation, and so it does come through in his writing. But it's very popular, and Gerald Gardner is really considered one of the big names, if you will, of contemporary witchcraft in general, just Wicca specifically, but witchcraft. The next one on this list is Ronald Hutton is the author, and the book is called Triumph of the Moon. And so it's a book about pagans, written by a non-pagan. So there's going to be some information in there that is through his lens, of course. But it looks at the emergence of today's pagan religions, and not just how they evolved. Okay, stop. Time out. Contemporary. What do I mean by contemporary? I would say anything from 1980 forward to today. So the last 80, 90, that's 40 years, 40 or 50 years. 30, 30 to 50 years. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, so Triumph of the Moon. Yes, Jessica, you can make a new broom in today's society. You don't have to make one. But, so yeah. Although, I have one that I made. It's kind of a ritualistic one because it's not really something you could sweep with. But it's fun. It has bells. So, yes. Now, some of the very, very contemporary stuff written today about paganism and witchcraft, for the most part, I see that as a neo-pagan or neo-Wicca. Ooh, Coffee, Chocolate, and Other Powerful Potions by Paisley Wild. Cashew, what a great title. I love that idea. Yes. Love it. Coffee, chocolate, and other powerful potions. I gotta write that down. Hold, please. Entertain yourselves for a moment. Coffee, chocolate, and other powerful potions. Yeah, copyright 2020. You guys are funny. Like, I'm going to get it done in the next 6 months? Yeah, I suppose it could happen. 5 months? 5 months, technically. It could happen. People write that fast. So yeah, the ultra contemporary books talk about neo-paganism, neo-witchcraft, even neo-Wicca in a way. I see that as the stuff that's been printed in the last 10 years. So Titan asks, is there a way to find out what your true element is according to the Chinese zodiac? Is according to Chinese zodiac, his birth is metal. Is there another way of finding out? Titan, if you complicated. I have one quiet night to knock it out, Chris. Ha! You're funny. I have to work tomorrow at 10. You're so funny. I suppose it could happen. I am drinking coffee. Titan is asking, yeah, so what is the true element? So it varies. So I don't know what your date of birth is, Titan, but different zodiac signs. Like, for instance, I'm a Libra, which is an air sign. Can't talk and type at the same time. So, hey, there you go. Let's see. Wow. Quickie Google, and it varies. So yeah, it depends. July 1970. What are you? Oh, happy birthday, Titan. You have a birthday coming up in 10 days. Happy birthday early if I don't remember next week. Just saying. Let's see here. So I'm looking at Titan's birthday just real quick. And experience, authority, and endeavor. So random factoids for July 20, 1970. Interesting. The calendar we used in 1970 will be as valuable in 2026? Interesting. Random factoids. All sorts of random. So, it's a water sign according to lands in Cancer, so it's a water sign. You don't like to multitask, but you understand other people's perspectives, and multitasking makes you moody. Take initiative, prefer action rather than planning, and tend to be very energetic. So, let's see. What is this? Chinese zodiac was the year of the dog. And gold. It's a gold dog. Gold is your element and sign, so gold. Alright. I would have to say, Titan, I am too much of a generalist to really give you a straightforward 100% answer. Other than just looking here, 1970, you're a golden dog. You're a food dog, my dear. Nothing wrong with that. I would talk to someone who does horoscopes more, or even numerology. Just because, yeah, I'm too much. I personally am too much of a generalist. It's a water. Cancer's a water sign. The crab is the symbol, or the constellation. So I don't know. I'm not really answering your question. I can talk about it for a while. But, yeah, water and fire, Cancer and Leo. Yeah, Day actually would be better for you. Day's been doing this a little bit longer than I have. So, Day has lots of information. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, my dear. But she's not local. Just to warn you. So, I don't know. Shoot me an email, Titan, and I'll see what I have for resources that I can email you. So, wildpaisley@gmail.com. You can get it from Don or Brent. They both have it. Since you are there camping, and yeah, talking to me on on YouTube chat is not very roughing it there, Titan. I hope you guys are having fun. Yes. Titan says, no, I did. Paisley did good. He had to ask at least one question. Yeah, it's not a Titan asked a question at least once. So, yeah, I would do some research and find someone who has more information than I do. How's that? So, we're talking about books. What books? Let's see. Triumph of the Moon is the next one by Ronald Hutton. I don't know. Did we talk about that one? I know I was copying it. Copy. So he's is a highly respected professor. He talks about the emergence of contemporary pagan religions, and I did talk about it, and how they've evolved from the societies of the past, the pagan societies of the past, and also how some of the 18th and 19th century poets and scholars really impacted what we do know about a lot of the pagan traditions from societies from later or previously to now, and the ancient traditions, because a lot of that stuff wasn't written down, and it was honestly is the Christian monks who wrote down the oral traditions. So a lot of what we know is definitely viewed through a Christian lens, not a very new Christian lens. It's a Christian lens from centuries ago, when that lens was in both more pagan friendly and less pagan friendly. So it's complicated. But guess what? We're going to our second break. It's top of the hour. And I will see you in like 2.5 minutes. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. See if I can do this. I was practicing during break. So I've learned, because we do this at our show, or the shop where I work, with singing bowls, just real quick, you don't have to go fast. it's more important that you apply consistent pressure as you are going around the bowl. Different mallets can change things. That is real. I tried a couple different mallets. And this one, because it's the right size for my hand, which is small but chunky, is easiest for me to hold, and I actually got the best sound out of it, most consistent sound. So, isn't that wild? That sound. It's awesome. Hi, Jessica. As that sound fades away. I love the singing bowl. I love the sounds. Now, they do come in the different tones, A through G, and they can be handcrafted or they can be machine crafted, either way. Sometimes the machine crafted ones are left as is and just kind of, close to, whatever sound they make. Or they can be hand tuned, meaning that yes, you get a machine crafted bowl, but they try to tune it to a specific key. And the different keys, A through G, they use a tuning fork or something similar, and they pound it slightly and change the shape of it to get the right tone. So, cashew, yeah. The very first time I heard a singing bowl in person, it really felt like reality shifted. It really, really did. I felt it in my chest, and it was awesome. It was glorious. It was actually this one. I love this one. And yeah, it's a plain wooden mallet. Lucky says she has a plain wooden mallet. Does affect the sound quality. So this is for those of you who can see on the camera, this is a wooden mallet with leather. It's like 3 inches of leather wrapped around one end of it. And I did try the wooden mallet, and I couldn't get a good sound out of the wooden mallet, honestly. And we at the shop we have just a wide variety of mallets, from cloth covered. They look like a timpani or bass drum mallet, and some that look like this, but they're longer, and they have these crystals like quartz or rose quartz or lepidolite, amethyst tips, and even those I couldn't get a sound out of them. So it wasn't really working for me. So I went with this one, just a basic. And I suppose if I really wanted to use the wood part, I could hang on to the leather end and use the wood part. But again, I don't get the noise. I would love a crystal singing bowl, but it would never leave my house. I totally understand. She carries it in her car and she worries about it breaking. Yeah, I would get a hat box and wrap it in bubble wrap. You may have to special order a hat box for one that size. But the crystal singing bowls, the tones in those are, again, you feel them in it's like your very cells shift. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Best sound ever. So, and the metal ones, honestly, they're not too horribly expensive. I was surprised. At our shop, our bowls, for the most part, are handcrafted by a single family that have been following the same traditions for about 2 or 3 centuries. And like this one here, technically is not metal. Well, it is, but it isn't. Because it's got stuff on the inside. I don't know. For those of you who can see on YouTube, it's got stuff on the inside. It's got actually a hole in it, so I could put water in it. Yeah. And because if you put water in them, they can change the tones. Some people will put candles. We have a meditation room at the shop, and we have a couple of crystal ones. Oh gosh, those bowls again. Oh, they're glorious. But they are like 2 feet by 2 feet, 2 feet in diameter, 2 feet tall. They're huge, and we have candles that we can put in the middle of those. Because that changes the sound slightly, and you can put water in them, which again changes the tone slightly. Actually, sometimes more than slightly. Think about you drink out of a crystal wine glass or glass in general. If the lip gets wet, you can rub your finger across it. And similar theory, you can make that same singing sound. Often it's harsher. Because it's just a glass full of water. These, I think that the metal ones have just a great sound to them. And the crystal ones, yeah, they are retuning your cells, or realigning your chakras. Lewis says he wants one of the crystal bowls for his birthday or Christmas or something. Yes, me too. Me too. Because they are just that awesome. They really are. Let's see. The next book to talk about, because we're talking about what to read, is by Dorothy Morrison, and it's called The Craft, A Witch's Book of Shadows. And here, post the information there. Doop. So she writes mostly for beginners. She includes exercises and rituals and other stuff. They're practical and can be used or as they they are practical, so you can use them. Sorry, can't talk. But they're teaching tools also, so they're both, and they are generally lighter. They're not quite as heavy, so not quite as in depth. It's just a good beginner book. Another really good book is by Jeffrey Russell, and it's A History of Witchcraft. Hey Dee, how's it going? And so Jeffrey Russell is a historian, and so he does an analysis on witchcraft in a very historical context. And he starts, early days of medieval Europe and through the Renaissance and into modern times as of his writing. He doesn't fluff the history of it all. He just goes with it. And so he talks about the three basic kinds of witchcraft, according to him: sorcery, diabolical witchcraft, and modern witchcraft. Because there is some diabolical stuff. So, again, he writes so it's not filtered through the love and light of witchcraft lens of today's society. So, very informative, and basically talks about how witchcraft really is, Wicca especially, is a religion, and that's okay. Oh gosh. Here's a name I am going to muck up. Essentially, I believe it's like Caesar Sereth, I think is how you pronounce it. It's a book of pagan prayer. But he's a lot of a lot of folks assume that prayer is very much an Abrahamic religion specific thing only. It talks about how prayer is, hey Cameron, is very much also a pagan thing. So, anyway, stop and think about it. A prayer is just a spell, or a ritual is a prayer, you know. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Caesar or similar to that. So, but anyways, in this particular book, excuse me, there's prayers for life events, like hand fastings and births, deaths, that kind of thing, for times of the year like harvest, midsummer, and also different petitions and litanies for the different deities. And he also covers some of the theories behind prayer and why we do it. So it's just some more good information. Let's see, the next one is The Spiral Dance by Starhawk. Starhawk is a very prolific author. And I believe she is very much a from the Llewellyn publishing company. And so this is The Spiral Dance, and just talks about the spirituality of the feminine consciousness. And so the cone of power, trance magic, etc., magical symbolism is good information. It was originally printed 20 years ago. And Starhawk herself has said that, a lot of the information that she wrote then was very true for then, but a lot of it's changed now, especially when it comes to the polarity of the male and female. So that's something I've noticed. A lot of folks who started off Wicca were very much feminine deity only, or feminine specific only. Oh, one of those Volkswagen mosquitoes. And as they matured on their path, they have felt that things are actually more a duality rather than just all right. Lucky, remind me a weird thing in the vault. Trying to find the print screen. There it is. I think it's this one. Yeah. So yeah, there's been some changes as people have grown on their path. What's changed, what's different, and what hasn't changed. So the maturation of the path, if you will. And then the last one on this particular list is Witchcraft for Tomorrow, is by Doreen Valiente. More good information. I mean, really, truly, Doreen's pretty awesome, and has some really good information. There. I just have a screenshot I want to show you, Lucky. That's all. I have it saved. So yeah, Witchcraft for Tomorrow by Doreen Valiente. As she was a contemporary of Gardner's, and she wrote Charge of the Goddess, and she's had a lot of impact with the Wicca tradition specifically, but the contemporary witchcraft. As she talks about the historical context of rituals and practices, and it talks about how things have changed also, and how intent remains constant. So, yes. And it's, I don't know, so this one is on my to-do list to read. Yeah, it's on my to-do list to read. So, let's see. What else? The best pagan book. Okay, so that's this. Another book that is considered really good for modern pagans specifically is, literally, it's called Modern Pagans, by John Sulak and V. Vale. And So they went through and they interviewed quite a few people that are on different pagan paths, and they include witchcraft, Santeria, shamanism, druidry, and other goddess-centered spirituality. And so they talk about just the different traditions and such, and practicing or practices, and yeah, it's just one of those really good books. Chalice and the Blade. I've heard that one is good also. Oh, it's on my list. I'll get to it in a moment. Joyce and River Higginbotham wrote Paganism: An Introduction to Earth-Centered Religions. It's a really broad overview. So I suppose if you had to pick a book to start somewhere, this would probably be a really good one. It comes with exercises, meditations, and discussion questions, whether you're group or individual study, and just another one of those really good books to have on your shelf. The Tarot Handbook by Angelus Arian. Yeah, Arian, something like that. It's a place to start with the tarot rather than buying a deck like I did, which comes with its own little book on the inside. I like the size of these. I don't like the big cards, just saying. But she talks about a lot of the meaning behind the different bits of symbolism within each of the different cards, which, yeah, I gotta tell you, that's a good one. So here's one of those books I mentioned at the very beginning of the show. It's like, all right, there are some things that I don't understand why they're on the list. So this is The Mists of Avalon. It's written by Marion Zimmer Bradley. Talks about it's a Arthurian legend. It's a fictional book. If you want to read it, read it. Does it have some really good information in there? Yeah. Marion Zimmer Bradley does just a bang-up job of researching before writing. So I don't know that I would have recommended this one as like, yeah, you got to read it. The next one on the list is The Family Coven by Lydia Nettles Crabtree. So it's focused on the family for pagans. And I gotta tell you, there's not enough family-oriented pagan books out there, I think. Just because it's hard often to take a lot of the adult concepts of paganism and witchcraft and simplify them down to where children can understand them. Because, yeah, there's a lot of information there. I will recommend any of the books by Courtney Weber, by the way. Real Magic for Real People is a good one. I mean, she's just awesome. Tarot for One. I would have to say Tarot for One by Courtney Weber would be my first suggestion for learning about tarot cards. She's got different spreads and the why of them. And I've done a workshop with her talking about tarot. And I really like the way she does tarot readings and her interpretations of them. And she does a one-card read mostly. She starts there because often you ask a broad question, you want to fine-tune it in. So you ask the broad question, draw the card, and it's like, all right, well, can I get some clarification on this point? And then draws the next card. And it's just a good book, I think. And if you have a chance to do one of her workshops, do it. She's got some online stuff too, so check out her website. It's like Courtney Weber Drat. CourtneyWeber.com. Or CourtneyAWeber.com. Sorry. Drawing down Charge of the Goddess by Doreen Valiente. Yeah. Chalice and the Blade by Rianne Eisler. It's not specifically about paganism, but it does trace the historical and anthropological evidence for a lot of the ancient goddess-centered societies. And a lot of our contemporary modern neo-pagan traditions follow or are a derivative of some of those ancient practices. Some more so than others. It's complicated. So those are mostly the witch books. There's a little bit of overlap on the list. So let's see. Pagan books. Let's see. Where am I? Here's my list. So top one, Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. There's a lot of cross-purposing between witchcraft and paganism, and so a lot of the same books are going to be on the same list. And D, that's very cool. If you've met Starhawk, it'd be fun. It'd be good. Let's see. Oh, Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs would be a good one. It's by Scott Cunningham. Yeah, Cunningham. Yeah. Scott Cunningham is a very prolific writer. yeah, get all the books by Scott Cunningham. Because on this list, I've got Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, which I think is good. The complete book of incense, oils, and brews. Living Wicca, a further guide for the solitary practitioner. And Earth Power, Techniques of Natural Magic. Earth, Air, Fire, and Water, more techniques of ritual magic. So D suggests the book Sacred Sexuality. Book. A Manual for Living Bliss by Michael Murdad. I don't know. Lucky's laughing at my sound effects. Yeah. So Lewis wants to know if they're available PDF or at the library. A lot of them are available PDF or library. I have probably 6 of the Cunningham books in PDF or ebook. And I like them because I like being able to take my phone different places and just be able to read and pull the information up. However, I do want the books on my shelf because I just like having books. There's just something tangible. Yes, PDF Drive does have quite a few Cunningham books for download. That's where I got a lot of them. Let's see. Magical Herbalism, The Secret Craft of the Wise, another Cunningham book. Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Crystal, Gem, and Metal Magic. Scott Cunningham. The Magical Household. I have that one. Spells and Rituals for the Home. Actually, I'm trying to use that one with Mini-Me just because I'm able to adapt a lot of it for some of the stuff that we just do around the house. Because sometimes, yes, it's fun to reinvent the wheel and do things your own way. And there really is. Because you get a deeper awareness of the material in what you're trying to accomplish. It's part of the reason why I research, why I tell people to research. Journal it, write it down. You'll get a deeper understanding of what's going on if you journal it and write it down and then go back and read it, or read the books, or do your own study and research, because you get that awareness of it that you may not have gotten otherwise. But sometimes just following someone else's example is really good too. I mean, you got to do what's best for you. Really, truly. I mean, not everybody has time to read the books. Not everybody has the same time to, figure it out or create it themselves. So you gotta do what's best for you. Really, truly. So, but yeah, I read a lot of fiction on my phone in the Kindle reader. I really, truly do. But for research and study, as much fun as I like having online and stuff, I like the books. Anyways, last break of the night. We'll see you guys in like 2.5 minutes.
Be the spell forever done. sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are adventuring off into the spaces between, and we are in the last half hour of the show tonight. And we're talking about books, what to read, because I'm home alone. I think my cat's even outside. Drama the cat. Oh, she may have come in because I left the back door open, because why not? Yeah. Let's see. What else? What other books are there? An Introduction to Earth-Centered Religion by Joyce Higginbotham. Yep. Talked about that. Buckland. Here's one I don't know. I've not read it. And it's not a book that I will probably read. It's Demons of the Flesh, The Complete Guide to Left-Hand Path Sex Magic. I know there's a lot of energy often associated with sex magic. I don't know. I don't know that much about it, the left-hand path. So here's part of it is left-hand path, right-hand path. I gotta tell you, I really feel it's just the path. I think there's a little dark in all of us, even those that just spout the love and light all the time. Just because life isn't life isn't all love and light all the time. Yeah, techno magic, I think that's real. A lot of contemporary pagans, as in today's pagans and witches, use their phones for a lot of things. Tarot, runes, rituals. If you go on Pinterest, OMG, there's more posts and cards for this ritual or that ritual, or yeah, a lot of stuff out there. So, and that's not even counting the Harry Potter stuff. So just be aware. Yeah, I think that'd be a good book. Lucky, you can write that one. Let's see, Pagan Portals by Pagan Portals the Morrigan by Morgan by Morgan Daimler. I had that one. Doggone it. I personally really like Courtney Weber's book on the Morrigan. So if you're being called to work with the Morrigan, I would do some research. Don't just jump into it without, paying attention to it. Morgan Daimler is a very prolific writer, kind of like Scott Cunningham. A little bit different energy to it. He also writes about fairy witchcraft. I think that would be a good book also. If you're interested in working with the Fae or the fairies, Fae and fairies are two different groups of entities. Don't mix them up. Let's see, here's another one by Starhawk. It's called The Earth Path, Grounding Your Spirit in the Rhythms of Nature. Holy cow. I don't know about y'all, but I often feel really, really connected to the rhythms of the seasons. Spring will energize me by the end of fall. I'm ready to go to sleep. Just there's so much energy, so much magic um, in the turning of the seasons, the turning of the wheel, and just being able to tap into any of that is good. Um, so Lucky says with techno magic, kind of like control others, bend their wills. Items are tools, and like all tools, they could be used for good or bad. Like group meditation that we did with William Whitecrow to avert a hurricane on TFR back in 2011. Yeah. And it's real, a lot of, and so when you put your intention out there as a group, whether it's your local group or your community or region or worldwide, there's power to it. There's power in prayer. When Christians talk about the power of prayer, it's a real thing. That's why prayer chains are good. You get X number of people all focusing on the same outcome of a thing. There the energy is put into that thing, and it's not just one person. It becomes a group thing, and in a way, it's kind of like a hurricane or tornado rating. It's not just one times. Then one level to the next level isn't just 1+1. It's 1 to the 10th or 100th or whatever. It's 100th power, I should say, using math words. So yeah, when you get that number of people solidly behind an idea and all speaking power to that idea at the same time, yeah, it's huge. That's why, if we could all, if we could get together in some way, shape, or form and have, let's get rid of the current insanity, I think that'd be great. Unfortunately, we would all have to have a similar idea as to what the outcome would be. And I think that's part of the reason why so much of that doesn't work as well as it could. Because, averting a hurricane is relatively straightforward. You don't want the hurricane to make landfall. You want it to turn out and go to stay in the ocean rather than making landfall and, destroying the coastline or flatten a tsunami like Dee did with her group. That's a big deal. But you all have a similar goal. You're trying to reduce the destruction, trying to flatten the tsunami, avert the destruction of a storm. When it comes to a lot of the like in our society here in the U.S. right now, trying to figure out a way to change or get rid of the negativity that everybody's been dealing with. What does that mean? What does that look like? Because for as many people out there, there's as many different definitions. Getting rid of the coronavirus. Actually, that's a pretty fair one. We could probably all get behind that. But some people may say, oh, I get rid of the virus completely, or, oh, I want a vaccine, or, oh, I want a treatment. What is it you're trying to use? Or the Black Lives Movement, or a lot of the political stuff going on in the U.S. right now. It reminds me of game of Chutes and Ladders. You have no idea what number you're going to roll, if you're going to, slide down the chute or have to climb up the ladder. But the specificity is really a big deal. And having everybody having the same goal, not tangentially associated goals. So, Yeah. Mm. Um, it's and the, yeah, the coronavirus again. Focusing on getting rid of it. Yeah, that one's real. I could get behind that one. The riots. Yes, I would love the riots to stop happening. I don't think they're um, as effective as they were hoped to be. But then again, it depends upon what your goal for those were. So, yeah, um, the struggle is real on that because the different political groups have different opinions as to what the right outcome of stopping the riots or how to stop the riots. If you're, I, the, there's as many solutions there as there are, opinions, people. I mean, the struggle's real. Um, and that's why we don't talk about politics very often. Because as normal everyday pagans and witches, we all have very, very different opinions as to what is the right outcome of any of those different political events. I mean, seriously. Um, yeah. Yeah, the struggle's real. Let's see. Another book to read would be The Deep Heart of Witchcraft, Expanding the Core of Magical Practice by David Salisbury. So basically, he expands, of course, on the basics of contemporary witchcraft. And because there are some core practices that is spread out across witchcraft and for the most part, but it's the interpretation with the different traditions, and he goes into that just a bit. Let's see, Moon Magic by Rachel Patterson is one that I want. It's on my wish list. Another one of those good books. And, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So, if you're looking for a specific tradition, do some research. And get books that are specifically for that tradition. For instance, like if you want to follow the Morrigan, or you feel called to follow the Morrigan, yes, get books on the Morrigan. They're pretty straightforward. If you are called to being a druid, get some books on being a druid. There's a lot of resources online for the druidic path. If you feel called to be more left hand, all right, go left hand. Get more information. I don't just, I like Reddit. I like even Facebook for some, to an extent, because there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of disinformation as well. So be aware, and read the sources or the information, and look for the sources. I personally am not good at providing the sources, and I know that. I'm working on it. Yeah, the struggle's real today. Um, but do your research. Write down notes. There's a lot of people out there who are, priests and priestesses associated with the different traditions. Reach out to them. A lot of them, there's websites. There is information. Even if you get the information from Wikipedia. Yes, I know Wikipedia itself is not the best place to get the information, but a lot of that information has to be cited. So go down to the sites, and find out where that information came from originally. Because that's where you want to go. That's where you want the resources you want. And like Amino has the 30 plus community, the 25 plus community. Pagans and Witches, and a variety of others. Facebook has all sorts of different pages and groups regarding paganism. MeWe also. I'm not on MeWe as much as I could be. It's the proverbial one more social media platform. But Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, any of those, there's a lot of really good information out there, and often you can ask the question of the different communities. And a lot of those communities will step forward. Okay, if this is what you're trying to research, here's where you should go to get more information, or this is whom you should contact. Like here locally, SpokanePagans.com is a website that is more regional for the Pacific Northwest, for the different pagan and witch groups, covens, circles, moots, etc., and we talk about different meet and greets. Not so much in the last 2 months, but there are some meet and greets online. There's some classes that are happening online. Even some online rituals, because you know what? Right now, that is kind of the way of it. Even if you are part of a coven, in a way, you are a solitary practitioner right now. And it's, I don't know. We live in weird times, so do the research you need to do to find out, what tradition is best for you. If you are of a Native American background or a tribal background, and you feel called to follow in the footsteps of your ancestors, you need to reach out to the spiritual leaders of your specific tribe, to get more information and get that guidance, because a lot of that is very, very specific to that tribe. There's quite a few different sub-tribes within, the Sioux or the Cherokee, and as an example, and they're all a little bit different. So yeah, you want to make sure you're getting the best information you can, and don't Google something like how to write a spell and just assume the very first thing in the search engine is going to be the best information. It just means it's clicked on a lot, or someone paid a lot for that particular posting to hit in the top. And often it hits up on top because it's from World of Warcraft or Harry Potter or Magic the Gathering or something like that. And you need to make sure that the information you're getting and using is really truly about real magic and real witchcraft and real paganism, and not something from a movie or a game. I mean, granted, a lot of those movies and games got that information from somewhere, but they don't always cite where that information came from. So let's see. Also, journal your information that you're looking for, the questions you're asking, because if you put it out there, it's like, hey, I need to know more information about the Morrigan, for instance. You're going to if you put it out there, it's like, hey, I want more information about this thing, or this person, this deity, this tradition. The information will come to you. Not always from the place you most expected. I mean, often it's from something that you didn't expect or didn't anticipate. But you write down the question in your journal when you're journaling it, and when you get a response, make sure you write the response. Hey, I bumped into so-and-so. I haven't seen this person in 10 years, and we were talking about what's going on in our world, and we got to talk about the books we're reading, and so-and-so's reading this book, and oh my gosh, that's the book I need to be reading. And it's fabulous when you make that kind of a connection. And it's awesome. Um, because you know that energy connection that you have then with that person or that source um, empowers both of you because you've just made that spiritual connection also, not just person to person, but also spirit to spirit, your inner self to inner self, and and that helps you grow along your path, and it helps you develop your own self more, especially when you're um, bouncing ideas off one another and talk and what does this mean to me? Oh, it means the same thing to me too, but also it means this to me as well. And the different points of view, and suddenly a real basic idea turns into this bigger concept, which is kind of like what we do here on the spaces between. You know, I'm seeing the chat. They're talking about. A lot of a lot of authors and teachers that have passed and the information they've shared, and I see people connecting there. You know, where I work, I talk to a lot of people. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit part therapist because people come in, they're like, I need a stone because this is happening in my life. What do I need? Or a crystal, or how can I be helped? And it's in a way it feels great that I sometimes have those answers, and sometimes I don't have those answers. That's not such a good feeling, but at the same time it's also, hey, I'm learning something, look at me learn, yay, I'm learning. And that's a good feeling. That's a great feeling. Are you kidding me? I love learning things. So open your mind, open your hearts, open your spirit. Be ready to learn. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've taken from being a pagan is it's not just a path of belief and a path of being, but it's also a path of learning. Because I'm not just learning about the world around me and the people around me and origins and history and such, but I'm learning about self. I'm, and it's often hard to learn about ourselves because there's a lot going on. We're often distracted by this and distracted by that, and this is going on and that's going on. I've got this stress and that stress, and my kids want this, and oh, I got to fix dinner and go buy groceries, and the kids are growing out of their shoes, and also blah. Once you run out of it, you're just go all the time, and we forget to stop and learn about ourselves and who we are, because who we are changes from one year to the next, one moment to the next, because as we experience things, we are evolving also. And if you go through a big thing like the loss of a loved one, or the getting a new relationship, or the ending of a relationship, or having a child, or getting a new job, or losing a job, all of that stuff changes who we are. And we need to remember to stop and learn who we are in this moment, because it's going to change. We're going to be different from this moment to the next. I mean, if you stop and think about who you are today, like today, I am Paisley Wild, and I'm doing this show, The Spaces Between. I work at an esoteric shop, and I have stones and crystals all over the place, and I'm meditating, and I'm more in touch with my spirituality than I have been ever in my life. Who was I 10 years ago? It was a little different. I didn't feel as centered. I didn't feel as comfortable with myself. I had a job. It was good. It was a good job. But it wasn't satisfying. It didn't satisfy my soul or my mind. My family was in a pretty good spot for the most part. There was some stress, but it was pretty typical. I mean, the kids were teenagers. The boys were. It was 10 years ago. The younger one was just learning to drive. Wow. We're dealing with, car insurance for teenagers, teenage boys. Deep cleansing breath. So, you know what? That was 10 years ago. Where am I going to be in 10 years? Oddly enough, I'll have another teenager in the house. I'll also have grandteens. So, you know, but who will I be in my soul and on my spiritual journey? That's in 10 years. I have no clue, which is why I want to journal things today so I know who I'm going to be. So I can look back and say, oh, that's who I was then. I'm so glad I'm me now. I'm much happier now. And right now, yeah, I'm much happier today than I was 10 years ago. That is a true statement. So, on that note, holy cow, guess what? It's the end of the night, end of the road. So, merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow night, Saturday, 9 o'clock Pacific time. We'll see you then.
Sun, as we will, so mote it be the spell forever done.